Greetings, everyone. I have the chance to talk to Tom Bluewolf today. We are here in Germany, and we will talk about Germany, United States, the nature, sacred harmony, and I am welcoming Tom Bluewolf. Thank you very much that you have been visiting us this year. I would like to ask you to introduce yourself, please.
All right. My name is Tom Bluewolf, and I live in the Blue Ridge Mountains in the southeast of the United States. And I was born right after the Second World War and raised in the traditions and culture of the Muskogee people, and was taught by our elders that who we really are is a much older concept. We are the people. We're human beings. So that's who we are. We kind of transcend more recent titles, such as Native Americans or indigenous people or American Indians or whatever. And it's pretty well known. And I'm mixed blood. I have Muskogee blood, Cherokee blood, and German blood. And I'm proud of all of the blood that I have. And I was brought up in a way to honor the earth and to care for the forest and the animals and the water. And so I've been blessed with a life that allows me to do that. So I'm grateful, eternally grateful for my earth walk. And I'm still here.
So you are visiting Germany since a long time,
Yeah.
since the 90s, and Thuringia since 2009. Can you tell us something about your vision or expectation or experience with the German people? And especially the Thuringian and Saxonians and Germans who came to the Sweat Lodge. Well, they came from all over Germany.
Yeah, well, it's been my experience that Germany has a very extraordinary history. I know that not unlike lots of countries, they go through difficult times, and it's sometimes difficult to overcome such times. We identify often with these times. My hopes are that folks can have a larger picture of where they came from and who they are. It's my understanding that once upon a time, the Germans were as infatuated with the forest here as we are with the forests in our country. And ceremonies were all over the place back in those days. And it was able to give birth to incredible composers and writers and musicians and philosophers and scientists of all kinds who have contributed the German influence on the global consciousness. People such as Goethe and Schuller and Martin Buber and Martin Luther, all these wonderful people, Rudolf Steiner. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And so for me and the people that I'm in contact with, the history is steeped in that kind of legacy that German offers the globe, the population of the planet. And so more recently, it's not just isolated to Germany. More recently, I've noticed all the countries have been going through difficult times. And in my life, now as much, or if not more, than ever before. And so I've noticed a lot of anger and divisiveness and separation and lack of trust, and people's futures are looking dim from a political standpoint. And so I'm going to call it medicine. The medicine that I see being the most effective at these ceremonies, especially here, is the opening of the heart to the finer qualities of what it means to be a human being.
But Tom, how can you open your heart? You cannot just say, I want to open my heart. Could you explain us a little bit what you would think, what would help to open the heart?
Well, what I've seen that seems to be working that has been missing is the participation of ceremony, rituals, and rites of passage, especially those ceremonies that include life, all life forms, all our relations. We have been taught that the earth basically is one planet. And on this one planet that we all share, we're all riding on the same planet. We're all drinking the same water. We're all eating from the same earth. We're all breathing the same air. We all come from a mother. We have so much in common around the world that I see that the problem is when people become aware of the ideologies that they've assumed, and in some cases have become delusional about these ideologies, that they forget or have forgotten. Our people actually call it the great forgetting. We just forgot who we are and started imagining that we were other than that. And so the medicine lies in waking up to the reality that we are all human and we have much more in common than our differences. Just the simple fact that we all came from a mother, that we all need good water, that we all need to breathe good air, that we all want to have a community. Everybody wants respect. Everybody needs dignity. Everybody wants to feel like they're in a family that is compassionate and forgiving and merciful. And that's what I see that's been missing. And I now feel like there are so many around the world that are waking up to the great remembering. Now we're starting to remember. And I believe on some level, the pandemic that we just went through globally has allowed us to kind of wake up to this great remembering.
Can you tell us more what we remember when we remember in this great vision?
We remember what I'm talking about. We remember how much we need each other. We remember how good it feels and how healing it feels to give love and to receive love, to honor all of our elders, to care for our children. The consciousness that comes to me is the feeling of being a shepherd or a steward or a caregiver. I feel that my elders had told me when I was a child that once upon a time, that's who we were. We give care to the earth. We protected the water. We cared for the trees. We cared for the animals. We thought we're all related. We learned so much from the nature. Sometimes we have forgotten that humans can only see small amount of the field of light. We can only hear small amounts from the field of sound, where some of our bird relatives and our animal relatives can hear so much more than we can see so much more than we can feel so much more, so we learn from them. We kind of forgot that, but we're starting to remember. how magical it feels to stare into the eyes of a wolf or a horse or a coyote or a bear and have them look back at you and actually feel them looking at you and seeing you through eyes that you can't even imagine.
But when you say that a typical human being would be afraid to look in the eyes of a wolf or in the eyes of a bear, how can that be that one does this? What is the way to be so brave to do that?
Well, we kind of guide folks through these ceremonies where we say fear is like an acronym. False evidence appearing real.
Maybe for our viewers in German, falscher Beleg, der aussieht, als ob echt wäre.
See, danger is real. Fear is an imagination. So we aim to be fearless. When that happens in love, you're not afraid of these animals. When you respect these animals, they respect you. Not unlike us, when we are feeling hostile or fear-based, we upset the rhythm and the migrations of these animals. So we maybe say, what if we could reawaken our hearts to the ancient dream of the rhythms and migrations that were a way of life for all our people when we actually did walk lightly upon the earth? When that happens, the animals fall in place, the trees fall in place. It's almost as if they've been waiting for us to wake up. Because it's been told to me that humans are actually Mother Nature's immune system. And when we attack each other, it's like Mother has an autoimmune deficiency. Her people are attacking each other as if they were foreign, just like cells in the body. When a human has an autoimmune deficiency and their immune system fails, we have been failing Mother. And so, aside from the idea of a climate change, we feel that Mother Earth is now going through the fourth stage of an autoimmune deficiency. She's dehydrated. She has convulsions. She has eruptions. She has chills. She has fever. She has seizures. And they call them different things, but that's what it looks like. And all of those things are the symptoms anybody would go through under the diagnosis of an autoimmune deficiency.
But why do you think do people attack one another?
I think they forgot who they are and who these other folks are. They forgot about the finer qualities of what it means to be human. Some of my elders think that it's as simple as the language. We've always said our language is the fabric of our culture, how we speak to one another. My grandmother used to say, the world is perfect. There's just a lot of people having a bad conversation. So we've always been taught, raise the level of your poetry, grandson, so that everything you say is a reflection of what you hold dear in your hearts about what it means to be a human being walking together during this time on the planet. I mean, people have come and gone for thousands and thousands of years. People have come and gone, and they will continue. But we are here right now, and that's ceremony. That's celebration, and this is what I feel is happening as we wake up. It's almost like a healing process. It's almost like Mother Earth wants to be in recovery. And so, but she's surrounded by 25,000 satellites. She's got thousands and thousands of IVs hooked up to her, sucking the fluids out of her body. We're being sprayed with all sorts of poisons and toxins. As a matter of fact, every pharmaceutical consumed by animals and sprayed onto nature winds up back into the precipitation cycle. So it's basically raining pollution.
What is IV?
Intravenous.
What is it?
Like, you know, when they hook you up in a hospital and they put stuff into your blood and they pull stuff out of your blood, we call it oil wells or fracking or whatever the term is, to go into the earth and exploit her body fluids.
How do you feel that the United States is the biggest fracker of all of the countries? There is so much fracking.
I don't feel comfortable about it at all. But so it's almost like we're just patiently waiting for the other shoe to fall. And this is that time. The curtain is being raised. Transparency is happening. People are remembering. It's just a matter of time. We feel that there's kind of a passive sense of urgency. So we do more ceremonies. We do more rituals to encourage Mother to heal. Because when we heal each other, we heal her. Because we're not walking through nature. We are nature. We are this place. This place is us, and we are this place. We are our mother's children. Just like we are part of our mother, we are part of our mother. And so when we heal ourselves, everybody feels better. It's observable. You can see it. You know, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
So how should we look onto those politicians and people, business people who exploit Mother Earth? How should we look at them to change, make them change?
Well, we pray for them. The magnetic field, the breath, the consciousness of our mother is everywhere. When you touch one tree, all trees know it. When you encounter one bear, all bears know it. A lot of people have forgotten how connected this all is. But sooner or later, the power of love and the power of the mother will overcome this kind of what we call a coma that has happened, this cloud that's come over people, greed, fear, anger, hatred. They're all very low vibrations. And so we lift them up through ceremonies, through dances, through songs, through sacred gatherings, introducing people to the sacred hoop of life. It's so ecstatic, it's so wonderful that when people even get a glimpse of it, they want more. They just haven't seen it. They don't know about it. They have succumbed to the exploitation disease. They've succumbed to what people call the comfort zone. You know, they eat comfort food. They want to watch comfort media. They want to drive in a comfort car. They want to live in a comfortable house. So they don't think about where the water comes from or how the trees are doing or how the world is doing at large. But that will change, because when they find out that they can't eat money, you know, they'll start looking for the truth.
So you think if enough people on Earth will connect to this vision of humanity, of love, of compassion, enough people, many, many people, then it will reach everybody, right? Is
Yes.
that the idea?
You have to remember, see, at some point we were spirit, and then we entered the mother's body. And so for about 9 months incubation, we lived in her, inside the mother. There was no exploitation, there was no greed, there was no fear. All we felt basically was our mother's love. We didn't have to worry about food. It just showed up. And we listened to her heartbeat. Boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. All the time. We listened to the blood flowing through her veins. Psh, psh, boom, ba-boom, psh, psh. Food shows up. I can imagine, if I remember, at some point, I couldn't help it. I had to dance. Boom, 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 boom. Outside the mother, I could hear people say, the baby's kicking. And I thought to myself, I'm dancing. I'm dancing. And then that was the love, that was the respect of the mother, all the wonderful things we were taught inside the mother. But when birth happened and we came into this world, it's almost like we got angelic jet lag and we got amnesia. We forgot. And so we started trying to piece it all together. And those who were already here, who had learned to exploit and fear-based and greed, were in control. And so we succumbed to that, almost like Pinocchio at the circus, you know. And so, but sooner or later we see the falseness of it. We see that it's just built on sand, that it's not sustainable, that it's not thrivable, that the future is looking dim. We can't do that. So we said, what can we do that could last for 7 generations or longer? Because if we can do that, maybe we can last. Because we were promised this was a paradise. And a lot of our family have said we forgot the 2 instructions that the Creator gave us when we came here. That was the most important instructions to follow. The first instruction was to love this creation with all of your heart, mind, soul, and body. That was the first instruction. Just close your eyes, fall in love, and stay there. The second instruction was to love each other, just like we love ourselves. And it wasn't restricted to the 2-leggeds. One another means all of the life forms. We love we love bunny rabbits. We love the deer. We love the buffalo. We love the trees. We love the water. We love the trout. We love the salmon. You know, we love, and so there's this mutual connection.
You even love the stones.
The stones are the oldest ones I love.
Can you explain a little more?
Well, we call the stones the bones of our mother. And in our language, there's a word that means grandfather. It also means sacred stone. And so, and you know, this whole place is alive and fully awake and aware of itself. It's just some of them go through life very fast. Some go through very slow. But if you could be here for millions of years, you could watch the stones change. Because they started very tiny, long time ago. Now they're huge and they're heavy and they've got all of these stories they've collected over the years. So when we ceremony with them, and through the connection of our intentions and their love and their patience and their consistency, there's an exchange that takes place to help us heal.
One more question about the mother. Some of us have mothers who were very aggressive to them. Maybe they didn't want this baby, or they had parents where the father would beat the mother and would shout, and they would have a horrible childhood. Even in the womb it would not be nice. What can you tell those people? How should they learn how to love the mother?
Well, it's been told to me under those circumstances, which are not as common, they're uncommon, but they happen, is that's where the forgiveness comes in. And that's one of the highest characteristics. Once we wake up, that's unfortunate, but it's not too different than people who go through a war. I mean, you want to fall in love, but somebody's dropping bombs on you. Somebody's shooting at you when you leave your house, you know, and you don't ever know what the future holds. There's a level of incarnation and communication that takes place that is challenging. That's why we've come up with these terms like peaceful warrior. So to be a warrior would be to go against all the odds. Imagine that there's been so many of our nation who was subjected to an incredible genocide. But that genocide has been going on all over the world. That's the most abusive, it's the most exploited, it's horrific, the genocide. There's millions and millions of people over the years have been killed in the name of whatever. And most of the time it's been incredibly abusive and horrible. But so is disease. So is infections. And so we have to heal from that. I mean, some people have the pandemic created a situation called COVID. It's killing people. It's a different kind of genocide. And we have to heal. We have to overcome it. It guides us in taking better care of ourselves and paying attention to what ordinarily would be considered details, because we had gotten so comfortable. We forgot about these things that are priorities in life. It's a priority. Love this creation with all your heart, soul, mind, and body, no matter what. Love each other, all the others. Really, there's only one thing. There are no others.
Probably.
I remember my grandfather told a story one time, and a fellow walked up to him and said, "Charlie, I know you and I know these things, but what about all the others?" My grandfather said, "There are no others. On this planet, it's just us. We are the people." And so they don't look at them as being separate. It's all part of the family of man. And then when we say all our relations, we're part of all the families. I mean, we pay respect to the family of the bear people, the family of the horse people, the family of the wolf people, the family of the tree people, the family of the rooted people, the family of those that swim, those that fly. There's all extended relatives in this sacred hoop of life on earth. And some of the medicine people take it further than that and start talking about the stars and the star people. And that's also part of our family. It boggles the mind sometimes to look up into the sky and see all those stars and have my grandfather say, "All the stars you can see you." What can you do to give them a vision as beautiful as the vision they give you?
So you think that having this attitude of love, you lose the fear. Is that right? You then forget about the fear?
I can't hear you. What did you say?
Yes, if you love enough, you forget about the fear. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, it displaces it because fear is imagination. Love is real. False evidence appearing real is fear. It's not a reality. It's a state of mind. Love conquers all. Love overcomes all things.
But people would say, there is COVID. I need to be fearful. I need to protect myself.
You don't need to be fearful. You need to pay attention to how to improve your health. See, COVID to me is not any different than a bad cold, the flu. A tree could fall on you. You know what I mean? You could step on a rake, fall into the lake, and drown. There's all kinds of things that can happen to you. You don't want to be scared of rakes. I'm not scared of the water thinking I'm going to drown. I'm not scared of the animals thinking they're going to eat me or kill me. I'm not scared of the trees, they're going to fall on me and kill. It's all an imagination. It can go pretty far and pop. And if you continue on that road, you wind up incarcerated, institutionalized, or on heavy medication. So you say, well, no, wait a minute. I just need stronger values. I need ethics. I need morals. I need to raise the level of my personal poetry. I need to eat wild food or better food or organic food. I need to drink pure water more and more. I need to be completely hydrated. I need to do all I can to take care of this precious gift that was given to me by the Creator. Am I going to take good care of it? It was just given to me. Life was given to us.
But what would you say to people who don't feel their body, or who hate their body? Maybe they are fat, they don't like themselves.
Well, that's all part of forgetting. The more out of condition people are is kind of a measure of the level of what they forgot. They forgot. They just, all of a sudden they wake up one day and go, whoa, what happened? You know, I'm way bigger than I'm supposed to be. What happened? And so then you've got an opportunity as a warrior. Change it and make it work for you. You can. They say we've got three options at that point. We can adapt. We can change it, which is my favorite, or we can walk away. Just forget about it. Just stay in the coma. You know what I mean? But my hope, my wishes, my desire, my mission is to help people change it. You know, you don't want to adapt to a bad situation, you know, and so how do you change it? First thing you have to do is change the way you talk about it, your conversation. Words are extremely powerful. That's when I was growing up. I can tell you one moment. I was on by a fire, and my grandfather and his brother and a couple of my uncles. My grandfather goes, "Hmm." My uncle said, "Mm-hmm." My other uncle said, "Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm." My other uncle said, "Mm-mm." My grandfather said, "Mm-hmm." They had a conversation. They didn't say a word, but they all knew what they were intentionally passing on to the other. It's very powerful because they also knew if you say these words, it's going to confuse the intention of the feeling they're trying to express. Because it's very difficult to say something to somebody and they think they know what you just said. They can only respond from their own experience, and most of the time it's not anything like yours. So they think they understand, but they don't. So that's why sign language came into being. People started just saying, don't say anything, it's confusing. You can talk with your hands, That became very popular for a long time, talking with our hands, because words can be confusing and they can kind of scramble the things, I think that's why we have to choose our words so carefully. If we raise the level of our poetry so that it reflects what's in our heart, then that's the first step in changing the reality.
But when in your heart is anger and fear and hate, what then? Should they talk about it, or what should they do?
Well, what we do is say that's the time that if you say, I need to change this, if you accept it, then it just continues to be a disease. If you change it, now you're on the road to recovery. So one of the first things that we feel is necessary is to engage in ceremony, to engage in a ritual that connects you with community. It's difficult to live alone. You can't really monitor yourself. But if you're with other people, you can say, I realize now that I am you being me. We are one people. We're all human. I know that I want to treat myself like I would treat others. I want to treat others like I would treat myself. They've even got philosophies and books like the Bible and the Torah and the Quran and all these other books that basically say, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you can follow these, what have been called golden rules, you're on the road to recovery.
So you could, for example, join a choir or join a football club, something to do with others. It's not a
Start
real
wherever you can
ceremony.
to have a community of people who can say, you can look at them and say, how am I doing? And they say, you're doing all right. And you say, oh, good. How am I doing? Well, you're a little slack over here. You might need a little help over there. And you go, you think so? Yeah. So you ask maybe 2 or 3 people, and they all agree, yeah, you should do some ceremony, man. You should take a walk in the woods. You should plant a garden. You should, get a dog. And say, I want to be the kind of guy that my dog thinks I am. You know what I mean? So you start having these incentives that want to take you out of this place. It's difficult. If it was easy, we'd already be doing it. It's difficult, but that's that challenge, that if you accept it, which I hope you accept the challenge to make the adjustment, that's what it takes to change the world and to heal the mother. And I really believe more and more people in this day and time are beginning to remember what that means. And so I feel it happening in South America and Africa and Europe and America, and I'm not sure about China, but if it's not, it was there once upon a time, but eventually it'll come back because there's no alternative. It's like everybody's running towards the cliff, and sooner or later they're going to fall off the edge, unless they say, "Wait a second, what are we doing?" And so at some point that's got to happen, and I'm wishing, hoping, and spending my life participating and contributing to that vision.
Have you been in China?
Yes. See, but not unlike when I'm in Europe, I go into China with the view of how China was when there was people like Confucius and Lao Tzu and all these wonderful philosophers and writers and wise people, and integrity was everywhere, and honor, honor the goodness of people. China was like that once upon a time. And I still believe there are people there like that. You know how the media is. It goes for something that's sensational. It goes for something that's going to make people feel scared and want more of the exploitation. It's kind of like drugs, And so it's happening all over the world. That's how the governments are controlling their people now. It's getting terrible all over the world. The governments are like the cause of disease. They're like carriers. And so we pray hard, we pray long, that, used to be the people who led the people were the most humble. The people who led the people were the most honest, were the most caring, were the most giving. They weren't bandits, pirates, and crooks. That one person told me, he said, the difference between animals and humans, animals would never choose the dumbest one to lead the pack. You know what I mean? Only humans would do that. And so we're faced with that on a daily basis also. But it should be motivation to pray more, to do more ceremonies, to work more diligently to alter the vibration, the frequency of the earth right now, because healing is imminent and it's critical.
So what do you think of those many, many, many people now who have tattoos? Do you think that's a form of a language? They want to talk to you with their tattoos. Some have it all over, some just little tattoos. What do you think it is? Has become a fashion?
It's the basic instincts of the person to return to the days of tribal consciousness. They have the body armor, they have the tattoos, because we've had tattoos forever to signify our kind of a rank, our position within the community. A tattoo would be like painting on your lodge. I'm from the Bear Clan, so maybe bears are, the bear tracks and whatnot. I'm from the horse. I'm a horse people, and so they've forgotten the origins, but they still feel the need to say, "This is who I am," and they'll explain each tattoo to you. It's like a banner. It's like a resume on your arm. You know, this is what I love. This is who I am. You know, and the earrings and the nose rings and all the metal on there. But what they don't have is a chief, or a spirit guide, or a medicine person. So that really makes it kind of chaotic. It really doesn't have a form. You know, it's just scattered all around like like fires, like an electric wire in a pool of water, just sparking. You know, but if you control it, tattoos and body armor and regalia is all beautiful if you're focused on the kinds of things we're talking about, the language and the etiquette and the morals and the values and the ethics associated with community. Tell the truth, you know, tell the truth. Once upon a time, truth held everybody together. So we say, at some point, truth left town. Nobody believed in it anymore. And it became very depressed. It used to sit on a throne. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Everybody goes, yes. And so, but they don't do that. And if they do, they're lying. So truth says, I'm out of here. I'm not going to stay and look at this. So it moved deep into the forest. So if anybody wanted to know the truth, they had to go deep into the forest to find it. And there the truth lived. And you could look around and say, oh, the waterfalls, the big trees, this is truth. This is the truth. So truth spent a long time in the forest, grew a long beard, his clothes got tattered. It was just sitting there all depressed and sad. And then one day, beauty comes walking up the path. And truth looked up and saw it coming. I said, I've never seen anything like that. That's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So truth went over and started courting the beauty. Beauty saw the truth and said, ew, you're old and ragged and you got this long, but that's not the truth, you know. But truth was persistent and consistent. And eventually beauty saw the truth inside of this being. And so they got married. So, and they lived happily, you know, from then on. And so anymore, we don't have to look for the truth. All we've got to do is look for the beauty, and truth will be right there. Because I could say to myself, aren't you beautiful? And Klaus would go, ain't that the truth? That's what I'm saying.
But a lot of people are confused because, especially women, but also men, because we have ideals of the Barbie woman, you know, the slim woman, and she's supposed to be beautiful. How do we know what is beauty and what not?
Well, you know, this, when you're a, let's say, a tracker, and you track animals, you're not looking for the perfect animal, whatever perfect means, to whatever origin you came from. I mean, when I'm in an African village, you would be shocked at what men think are beautiful. So it's kind of a learned thing. You know, it's like propaganda. So, but if you say, look, beauty to me is under the skin. You know, it's deep. So you say, the truth is beautiful. What's the truth? And if you say, well, I can see that this is propaganda. I can see that this is not the truth. This was put together with baling wire and chewing gum. You know what I mean? What's the truth? So you have to go deeper. And so the truth becomes about forgiveness, mercy, compassion, love, respect, dignity. If this Barbie woman is not giving you those things, then you've been duped. You know, that's not beauty. That's something disguised as beauty. And once that you become a person who has the ability to think critically about the significance and importance of the life around you, you start looking at those things. As long as we're shallow, you know, then people in the media or people who are out there painting pictures for everybody to look at, they get to create what they think is beautiful, and then we have to learn to agree. I've been a lot of places where they'll say, "Isn't that beautiful?" And I'm looking at it going, "Nah, I don't think so. I'm not finding that beautiful. Interesting, but not beautiful." So for me, beauty is in how people behave, you know, how they act, how they present themselves, you know, the care they give. And the more care they give, the more beautiful they become. The more stewardship they have, the more beautiful they become. The more of the beautiful characteristics of what it means to be human.
So maybe you feel it with your heart, what is beautiful?
Yep.
You just feel it?
Yeah. Well, it's like love. You fall in love with, I mean, I could not tell anybody. I've got a lot of dogs where I live. And I think they're all beautiful. I love them. They love me, and I think they're beautiful. And so, but other people would be afraid of them, you know, because in some cases in the past, they've looked like wolves, and some of them have been. But I love them, and they love me, and we all get along fine. Other people walk up and they say, "Can I get out of my car? You know, I'm scared." I said, all you have to do when you look at that is really look at it and think, she's beautiful. The dog will know that. It feels it, because they feel much more than we do. We think we're sentient beings. We have no idea. Wolves are sentient beings. Horses are sentient beings. Bears are sentient beings. We are making a diligent attempt to be a sentient being, but we got a long way to go. But we see the road. We call it the red road. We see the road to it. And if we can stay on that road, we will see it. But this day and time, that's a difficult journey.
We need to finish soon. So I think to finish it up, maybe you tell something about how indigenous people went hunting, how you hunted the food you wanted to eat, which was also animals, so that people understand the connection between animal and humans.
Well, you know, we've gone through many phases over time of what this means. But my favorite phase, my favorite period of time was when we were all designated in a certain area by the watershed that we lived on. I happen to live on the Conasauga watershed. So all the trees, all the animals, everybody drinks the same water. Water is always looking for itself. It wants to be together. And so we didn't really have to hunt. All we had to do was feel something. And the animals that drank the same water would feel the same thing, because we're 80% water, the animals are 80% water, the trees are 80% water. Water is everywhere. So our water merges with the water in the tree. Our water merges with these animals with intention. Deer would just walk right up to the camp and offer himself. "I know you guys are hungry. Here I am. Take me. I sacrifice myself for you, because I know that life will continue." And the main thing was that life would continue. So animals were a lot more giving and sacrificial. And see, to sacrifice actually means to make sacred. So a sacrificial lamb actually makes the situation sacred. And they know that more than we do. So we really didn't have to hunt. All we had to do was feel. If we feel hungry, the animals feel like feeding us. And they would come into the camp and offer themselves. And then, of course, we would, you know, do what we needed to do to eat. Now, on another level, at some point, that all changed when people started wandering off the watersheds and going into other watersheds, still the water wanted to find itself, but it was a different kind of water. You know, it had different elements in it. See, water remembers everything. And if a water comes through a particular tree, it actually carries the imprint of that tree. I remember one time I went to Africa, and I was staying with a fellow named Credo Mutwa. There was a Zulu priest. He said, "Why did you come to our country?" I said, "Well, I wanted to get some songs from a Sangoma of the water." He said, "Well, I'm delighted you came to our country, but you could have just gone by the river. All the songs that ever were in the river, and you could have learned these songs right there." I said, "Thank you. I did not know that. Shame on me, you know." And so I said, "But I'm here now." So then he says, "Yes, yes, yes." So I've learned over the years different tribes: the Zulu, the Bavenda, the San people, the Yoruba people, the Maasai, the Yanomami, all the different tribes around the world. Have all taught me their own way, and there's such a strong similarity amongst people of the earth. One of the things that's consistent are the characteristics. Respect was one of the biggest. You walk into a tribe and give them respect, they will return it. The wolves return it. The bears return it. Everybody, I mean, there's always exceptions. There's always a wild card. But generally speaking, all the people respond to respect and dignity. They all respond to kindness. They all respond to humility. And so that's your best effort to make a positive change in the world, is to exhibit these characteristics so that everyone knows and the stars know that you're human.
Thank you very much for this conversation, Tom, and for being here. We wish you safe travels and that you return as often as possible.
Thank you so much for inviting me.